Welcome back to Stock Explorers today. We're diving into the world of 3D printing
Uh-huh.
with a company that's been making headlines lately, 3D Systems. Imagine this.
Oh,
You're a bus operator and a crucial part breaks down, leaving you stranded.
okay.
Now, instead of weeks of waiting for a replacement, you get it printed locally,
Locally.
right in your city,
Yeah.
in a matter of days. That's the future Daimler Buses is envisioning with 3D Systems.
Wow.
And it's a game changer.
Yeah, it is. It is a bold move. And it really highlights how 3D printing is shifting from a niche technology to a core part of manufacturing,
What's
especially in the automotive sector.
Exactly. So, we'll be dissecting this Daimler Buses partnership,
Okay.
exploring what makes 3D Systems' business model unique, and even taking a look at their financials to understand their current position and future prospects. And just wait till you hear about the surprising technology they're developing. It's straight out of science fiction.
Okay. Well, let's start with this Daimler Buses partnership. It's all about decentralized spare part production. And it has the potential to completely revolutionize the way automotive supply chains work.
Okay, break it down for me. How does this whole thing work?
Daimler Buses is essentially giving certified 3D printing partners access to their designs for specific bus parts through an online platform called the OmniPlus 3D Printing License eShop.
So these partners are like licensed manufacturers, using 3D Systems technology to create the parts on demand.
Precisely. They use 3D system software, like 3D Expert, to prepare the designs for printing and to manage the entire process. And of course, they'll be using 3D Systems printers, starting with the SLS 380. Now, this isn't just any printer. It's a high-throughput system, specifically designed for industrial-scale production. Think of it as a heavy-duty workhorse that can churn out parts quickly and reliably.
I see. So it's not just about having the designs,
Yeah.
but also having the right tools to execute them. But what's in it for Daimler Buses? Is it just about faster deliveries?
Faster deliveries are a huge part of it, and the source material even mentions a potential reduction in delivery time by up to 75%. Imagine the impact on customer satisfaction and reduced downtime for the bus operators.
That's incredible. It means a bus that might have been out of commission for weeks could be back on the road within days. But beyond that, are there any cost-saving benefits for Daimler Buses?
Absolutely. Think about the logistics of traditional manufacturing and warehousing, shipping parts across the globe, storing them, managing inventory. With 3D printing, those costs are significantly reduced. You produce what you need, when you need it, right where it's needed.
It sounds like a win-win for both Daimler Buses and their customers. And this isn't just a small-scale experiment, right? The automotive industry is really embracing 3D printing.
You're right. The automotive 3D printing market is projected to reach nearly $8 billion by 2027. This partnership is a clear signal that industry giants are betting big on 3D printing to transform their operations.
8 billion. Wow, that's a massive market opportunity. It makes you wonder how 3D Systems is positioning themselves in this rapidly growing landscape. Are they just a printer manufacturer? Or is there more to their strategy?
That's a great question, and it brings us to what truly sets 3D Systems apart. They're not just selling printers, they're offering a complete ecosystem for businesses looking to integrate 3D printing into their workflow. Think hardware, software, materials, and even application engineering services.
So they're not just providing the tools, but also the expertise to help companies implement 3D printing effectively.
Precisely. They're a one-stop shop, but there's more to it than that. They've been making strategic moves to refine their focus. For instance, they recently invested their Geomagic software portfolio to Hexagon.
Wait a minute, why would they sell off a software asset? Isn't software becoming increasingly critical in manufacturing, especially with the rise of automation and Industry 4.0?
You're absolutely right, but this divestiture wasn't about abandoning software. It was about sharpening their focus on the software solutions that are specifically designed for large-scale, industrial 3D printing environments.
So they're essentially doubling down on the software that empowers companies
Yeah.
to adopt 3D printing for mass production.
Exactly. Think about it. If you're a large manufacturer like Daimler Buses, you need more than just a printer. You need sophisticated software to manage complex designs, ensure quality control across multiple printing locations, and seamlessly integrate 3D printing into your existing manufacturing workflows. That's where 3D Systems is focusing their software efforts. They're leveraging cutting-edge technologies like AI and machine learning to make 3D printing a viable option for high-volume production.
I'm starting to see how this all ties back to the Daimler Buses partnership. It's not just about printing parts, it's about creating a secure and efficient digital ecosystem that allows for decentralized manufacturing and scale.
You've hit the nail on the head. And to achieve this, 3D Systems has developed a suite of software platforms, including 3D Sprint for polymer printing, 3D Expert for metal printing, and the Appleton Industrial Manufacturing OS.
Okay, so 3D Sprint and 3D Expert sound pretty straightforward. But what exactly is this Appleton Industrial Manufacturing OS?
Think of it as the brain that orchestrates the entire 3D printing process. It helps manage designs, optimize production workflows, monitor printing in real time, and even predict potential issues before they arise. It's like having a virtual expert overseeing the entire operation.
That sounds incredibly sophisticated. It's clear that 3D Systems is betting big on software to drive the future of 3D printing.
They are. And this software focus isn't just about making printers run better. It's about managing and protecting designs, optimizing production workflows, and ultimately enabling this decentralized manufacturing model that Daimler Buses is embracing. This software ensures that Daimler Buses can control access to their intellectual property and guarantee the quality and consistency of the printed parts, regardless of where they're being produced.
So, it's about creating a secure and controlled environment while still enabling this distributed manufacturing model. Fascinating. It seems like 3D Systems is going beyond just printing parts. They're building a digital infrastructure for the future of manufacturing.
Exactly. And this brings us to a crucial point. 3D Systems' impact extends far beyond the automotive industry. They're involved in the surprisingly diverse range of applications, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with 3D printing.
That's what I was hoping you'd say. Give me an example. What else are they doing besides printing car parts?
Well, for starters, they're expanding into the investment casting market with their quick cast air solution. Now, investment casting is used to create complex metal parts with incredibly intricate designs. Think of the blades in jet engines or components for rockets.
Wow, that's high-stakes stuff.
Yeah.
How does 3D printing fit into all of this?
Traditionally, investment casting involves creating wax patterns that are then used to create molds for metal casting. But creating those wax patterns is a time-consuming and labor-intensive process. With 3D printing, you can produce these intricate patterns much faster and more cost-effectively, directly from digital designs.
So it's about streamlining and speeding up a critical part of the manufacturing process for highly complex components. And this quick cast air solution is specifically designed for that.
Exactly. It's a testament to how 3D Systems is constantly innovating and finding new ways to apply their technology to solve real-world problems in demanding industries.
This is all incredibly impressive, but I'm curious, how does 3D Systems actually perform financially? Are they profitable? How are they navigating this current economic climate where everyone's talking about recession and uncertainty?
Those are all excellent questions, and we'll definitely dive into their financials in detail. But before we get there, I want to touch on one more exciting application that highlights 3D Systems' commitment to pushing the boundaries of innovation.
Okay. You got my attention. What is it?
They're actively involved in the healthcare sector. And not just in the way you might expect. They're not just printing medical devices or surgical guides. They're developing technology for printing human organs.
Wait, what? They're printing organs? Are we talking about fully functional organs that could be transplanted into people?
That's the ultimate goal. And while it sounds like science fiction, they're making significant progress.
That's mind-blowing. I have so many questions about how that even works. But I'm guessing that's a whole other deep dive on its own.
You're right. It's a complex topic with huge implications, and we'll definitely explore it in more detail later.
Okay. I'm definitely looking forward to that. But for now, let's shift gears and take a look at 3D Systems' financials. You mentioned some challenges, so paint a picture for me. How are they doing?
All right, let's get into the numbers. It is important to remember that the current economic climate is impacting 3D printing companies across the board. We're seeing businesses hesitant to make large investments, which translates to fewer printer sales. For companies like 3D Systems.
Right. I can imagine companies are holding back on capital expenditures, given all the uncertainty. So how is 3D Systems weathering the storm?
Well, their recent Q3 2024 earnings call revealed some of the challenges they're facing. Their revenue came in at $112.9 million, which is a 9% decline compared to the same period last year.
Yeah.
And as you might expect, this was largely driven by a drop in hardware sales.
So the slowdown in printer sales is hitting their top line.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier that there were some positive signs within the financials as well, right?
Exactly. Despite the overall revenue decline, their materials sales actually grew by 10%. Now, this is significant because it indicates that existing customers are using their 3D printers more.
That makes sense. If companies are hesitant to buy new equipment, they're going to make the most of the equipment they already have, so more printing activity. Even if fewer new printers are being sold, it's a good sign, right?
It is. It suggests that 3D printing is becoming increasingly ingrained in manufacturing workflows. And it's not just a novelty anymore, it's a practical tool that companies are relying on.
That's encouraging. But what about their bottom line? Are they profitable?
They're not profitable yet, but they're taking steps in the right direction. Their gross margin for Q3 was 37.6%, which admittedly was lower than expected. However, this includes a $3 million hit from inventory reserves.
Hold on. Inventory reserves. What does that mean? And why did it impact their margins?
It's a bit of an accounting nuance. But essentially, 3D Systems made a strategic decision to bring a large portion of their manufacturing operations in-house. Previously, they relied heavily on contract manufacturers.
So they're vertically integrating, taking more control of their production process. That sounds like a positive move in the long run.
It is. But this shift required them to purchase a lot of inventory from their former contract manufacturers. They're working through that inventory now. And that's what's impacting their margins in the short term.
So it's a temporary setback, but one that could ultimately strengthen their position and improve their profitability down the road.
Exactly. Once they right-size their inventory and fully realize the benefits of insourcing, their gross margins should improve significantly. Their target is to reach the mid 40% range in the coming quarters,
Right.
which is a healthy margin for this industry.
Okay. So controlling costs,
Yeah.
improving margins, and strategically managing inventory. It sounds like they have a plan to navigate these turbulent times. But what about the bigger picture? What does 3D Systems' balance sheet look like? Can they weather a prolonged economic downturn?
That's a key question. And the good news is that their balance sheet remains strong. They ended Q3 with $190 million in cash and cash equivalents.
That's a healthy cash cushion,
Uh,
especially given the economic climate. Are they doing anything to further strengthen their financial position?
They are. They've been proactively reducing their debt, buying back over 50% of their convertible notes since Q3 of last year. This is a smart move because it reduces their financial obligations and gives them more flexibility to navigate the downturn.
So a strong cash position and a commitment to debt reduction. It sounds like they're taking the right steps to ensure their long-term stability. But as an investor, what I really want to know is, are they poised for growth?
Now that's the million-dollar question. There are several key indicators to watch for in the coming quarters that will give us a better sense of their growth trajectory.
Okay, I'm all ears. What should we be paying attention to?
That is the ultimate goal. It's
Yeah.
still a very complex and evolving field, but the progress they've made is remarkable.
Okay, I have to ask, how do you even print an organ? What's the ink in this case?
Well, it's not ink in the traditional sense. They use something called bioinks, which are specialized materials that contain living cells and other biological components essential for tissue growth.
So instead of printing on paper, they're printing with living cells. It's like building a human organ brick by brick, but on a microscopic level.
That's a great analogy, and the level of precision involved is mind-boggling. They're essentially recreating the intricate structures of organs, including blood vessels and airways, using these bioinks.
That's incredible. But I imagine there are huge challenges involved. What are some of the biggest hurdles they're facing in developing this technology?
One of the biggest challenges is ensuring that the printed organs are functional and can integrate seamlessly with the recipient's body. You need to ensure the cells grow and function correctly and that the organ has the right structure and blood supply.
It sounds like a delicate and complex process, and I imagine there are ethical and regulatory considerations as well. This is uncharted territory for medical science.
Absolutely. 3D Systems is working closely with regulatory agencies like the FDA to navigate these uncharted waters. They're conducting extensive preclinical trials and working towards human testing, but there are strict protocols and safety standards that need to be met.
It's reassuring to know they're taking a cautious and responsible approach. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the potential impact of this technology if they're successful. What could this mean for healthcare?
The implications are enormous. Imagine a world where we can create organs on demand, eliminating the agonizing wait for organ transplants. Think of the lives that could be saved and the suffering that could be alleviated.
It's hard to even fathom the impact this could have on the lives of millions of people, but it sounds like we're still a long way from that reality. What are the next steps for 3D Systems in this area?
They're continuing to refine their technology, conducting preclinical trials, and gathering data to support the safety and efficacy of their approach. The road to human testing is long and complex, but they're making steady progress.
Certainly an exciting area to watch, and we'll be keeping a close eye on their progress. But for now, let's zoom back out and consider 3D Systems as a whole. We've covered a lot of ground today. Their partnership with Daimler Buses, their diverse applications, their financials, their innovative software solutions, and even their foray into the world of bioprinting.
It's been a fascinating journey, and it really highlights how 3D systems is at the forefront of this transformative technology.
They are. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway for our listeners? Yeah. What should they be thinking about as they consider 3D systems and the future of 3D printing?
Here's what I'd say. 3D printing is no longer a futuristic concept. It's a rapidly growing industry with the potential to disrupt multiple sectors from manufacturing to healthcare and 3D systems. Is a company that's strategically positioning itself to be a leader in this exciting space. They're not just selling printers, they're providing comprehensive solutions and building a digital infrastructure for the future of manufacturing.
They are, and as you mentioned, their commitment to innovation is evident in their diverse applications, from helping Daimler Buses revolutionize their supply chain to developing groundbreaking technology for bioprinting human organs.
Exactly. While their stock price might fluctuate in the short term due to economic headwinds, their long-term prospects look incredibly promising. They have a strong balance sheet, a clear vision for the future, and a team dedicated to pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Well said. So, for our listeners who are intrigued by the transformative potential of 3D printing and interested in a company that's shaping the future of this industry, 3D Systems is definitely worth keeping on your radar.
I agree, they're a company to watch closely in the years to come.
And with that, listeners, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of 3D systems. We hope you found this exploration insightful and maybe even a bit mind-blowing. If you want to learn more about 3D systems and the amazing things they're doing, be sure to visit their website. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate notifications for Stock Explorers so you never miss an episode of our deep dives into the world of innovative companies. Until next time, happy investing.